Episode number 179.
The crowd goes wild.
I love to hear the roar of an audience.
Bigfoot's up there in
Oh,
the stands.
we have an EB in the audience today.
EB clicking and whistling, calming me down. Ooh, he's going around.
You guys are going to ruin the beginning, so am I. I know people hate that noise, and I'm just going to like...
Welcome to the Minisodes.
I'm numbing on you.
Love I want to put the spotlight on Jesse because I know he isn't fully prepared today, so I want to make him sweat.
He isn't fully prepared.
I can go right now. No, I'll sweat.
Okay,
I'll sweat right now.
He said he didn't have anything ready.
Oh, I was not at all prepared. I might have been caught up in some other nonsense and forgot.
I don't know if you know this, but this show has a certain level of polish associated with it, where everything that we start, we
My
finish.
bad. I failed you. Yeah. You know
pay you to entertain
who
people,
won't
Jesse.
fail you? This woman in Ethiopia who claims she hasn't eaten anything in 16 years, eaten or drinking anything.
Fuck off.
In 16 years.
Every once in a while, like I feel like every couple years somebody comes out. Remember the breatharians that said the same thing only to get her tested and she's like drinking water?
What's the secret?
Here's the thing. This is interesting. The woman has undergone several medical tests, and it has been confirmed there's no evidence of food in her intestines at time of examination. She went viral on the internet and first attracted attention in 2016 that this was a girl who could survive without food or water. And people have been watching her since 2016, trying to make sure this is true or not. Here's the thing. They all could be in on it, right?
Sure.
That's true.
But I will say, I did look up other things about, there have been reports and real true stories of people who've gone years without eating any food. Water is a different story. Like, you need water to, like, I don't know. I'm trying to look at this and from like a rational perspective, and it doesn't make any sense that this could be legit. But the only time she uses the bathroom, according to people around her, is when she bathes.
It doesn't make how?
The craziest part is she says,
sense to me.
yeah, it doesn't to me either, but she says, I have nothing to say. It's God's work. I just accept that.
What the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. She says liquids. Apparently the longest, according to the Guinness Book of Records, 18 days without food and water is the longest someone has gone, and that's because police arrested a man and then forgot about him.
Wait,
and
what?
She says over 16 years. I did some research, and the biggest documented, like real documented case is a man named Angus Barbary.
Cool.
Who was a big dude in the UK, like a big guy.
Huge guy. 275 pounds.
Huge guy, yes.
Pounds.
And he fasted, according to Wikipedia, the man has a Wikipedia page. He died in 1990, but he fasted for 382 days. He lived off of tea, coffee, sparkling water, and vitamins. And he lost 267 pounds.
Here's this interesting. I'm reading up as well. And here's what people are saying why this is scientifically impossible. She's breathing out CO2. The carbon has to come from somewhere.
What if she just like ate a big old rock of carbon like a long time ago, 16 years ago? She ate a big old rock of carbon sitting in her stomach, and she's just creating CO2 with that.
It doesn't make any, like, scientifically, it is impossible. At least with the water aspect, especially. I don't know. That's fucking wild. I'd be curious. There's a thing that I was read is nobody who's made these claims have allowed themselves to do it under controlled circumstances, aka cameras, like they've been offered, and none of them have taken it up.
Right.
None of them.
What's interesting about this is this woman is kind of being like, you know, she has a crew, and they took her to Dubai to get tested, and Dr. Drew Binsky was like, they got a whole, it feels like a thing rather than just, you know what I mean?
And it sounds like almost like a God recruitment thing, like look what God can do to me.
Yeah, meanwhile, looking at this Angus dude, he was under doctor supervision. Mayfield Hospital had him in for frequent medical evals. He had a doctor who was like, this is what I'm going to do, and you're going to take these vitamins, you're going to do this thing. And what's crazy is the doctor was like, dude, you've lost so much weight. What if you stop? And he was like, actually, I got kind of adapted to
feel good, dude.
Not eating a lot.
Yeah. I mean, well,
Actually,
your
feel
stomach can, like, if you don't eat a lot, your body can adapt, but you will have to eat at some point. Like, that's the thing is like,
and it says here, okay. It says here that he consumed vitamins, electrolytes, and an unspecified amount of yeast. So he still had to put stuff in his body.
Stomach.
He couldn't just,
The other things that they're saying too, particularly with her, is none of the doctors who have examined her have released any papers on the studies they supposedly did on her. There's no published papers. There's no scientific research. It's just their word, and that's it.
Huh.
All right.
Weird. Yeah.
All right.
Alex.
And according to this, as of 2023, which I guess is when this was last updated on the Wikipedia, he has the longest fast without solid food out of anyone in the entire world ever confirmed. And that's 382 days.
Do you think fat people can last longer?
I mean, here's the thing. In an apocalyptic situation, yes, without food. But in an apocalyptic situation where people are shooting each other and zombies are around, no.
So, well, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, but it's this dude, the before and after picture is wild. I mean, he lost literally like more than a whole person. And he's just, I guess his starting weight was 456.
God bless him.
Ended up at 180 at the end.
Yeah, that's I mean, good for him.
That's insane.
That's wild. Although I'm very curious. So there's no information about his end of life. He died at either age 50 or 51. It's weird that they don't say which, but he died in 1990 in his 50s. The question is, did he regain weight, or did the weight loss affect him in some way, or was it like cancer, or like there's no information about this? That's what I'd love to know. Did the long-term effects of not eating for 380 days, because like you're supposed to eat, that's the thing. So I'm very curious what that did to him.
That is true. I don't know. I don't know that you can like fully be all right from that. Like there has to be. Like,
I don't think you can.
Yeah, I feel like your bones.
I feel like the doctor would have managed.
Maybe.
You know.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems psychedelic.
Again, this also. I would love to know what happens to like those dudes who's like, I ate McDonald's for a year. That's all I. All right, so you've got a doctor to manage that, but what happens 20 years down the road? Like, what does that do to you, bro?
Here's the thing. I like to eat. I get so hungry. I don't know if I could do it. I can't imagine how.
Yeah, dude, I would just be miserable.
I don't know how
fan.
trippy.
Love it.
Yeah, I don't know how trippy it would get. I feel like it would be insane. I don't know if I could do it. It seems crazy.
That's what I will say. I mean this. I'm weirded out by people who are like, I don't eat. I just ingest nutrients when I need them. And I'm like, bro, what is your experience with food? What happened to you that makes you like not enjoy the taste of something? Like what's good? Like I just want the proper. Like I have a bar and I move on. I'm like, what?
I don't remember who it was. With you? Did I talk about it on here where I was like mind blown? Somebody from the FGC community was here for some reason for a tournament or something in LA. I don't remember who it was. So I'm not trying to put anybody on blast either, but it was like mad. It was like, I'm mad because the food in LA is like weak, these soggy ass nuggies. And I was like, I just like, you know that painting of that guy sitting in the corner and he's like ripped the skin of his face off and it's just his muscles and he's screaming.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
Yeah,
that's actually a great segue into my story. Actually, as you know, have had Zodiac on the mind lately. Have been kind of still every once in a while keep my ear to the ground if there's some sort of Zodiac update. I love a puzzle. I love anything like that. But actually, the most recent story that came out is still a puzzle from a serial killer, but instead of the Zodiac, it's actually Dennis Rader, the BTK Killer. Are you guys familiar with him?
We will be covering Dennis Rader probably this year, actually.
Okay.
Little bind, torture, kill. Great.
Yeah, we're coming for you.
Don't know why they made it sound like Burger King, but whatever.
For some reason, I thought he was caught much longer ago, but he was only caught in 2005.
No. Yeah, not that long ago.
He's serving 10 life terms in Kansas.
I mean, that is long ago. Just like...
I mean, oh, yeah, you know what? That's almost 20 years ago. That's 20 years.
From our perspective, it's not long ago, but like it is long ago.
I was alive. I was in high school. I remember it. It just seems like he's been away since like the 80s or 90s.
That's true. I was 15, so I was still very dumb.
Yeah. But he was actually still killing all the way into the 90s. And he's serving 10 life terms for 10 victims that are confirmed. But there is another victim called Cindy Kinney who disappeared from Osage Laundry in June of 76, which is within his window of 74 to 1991. And nobody knows who the killer is. But this guy, the sheriff in Osage County, is Eddie Verdon. And he's quoted as saying, "We had a homicide occur last fall and it was a pretty big investigation, pretty complicated case. Woke up at 1:30 a.m., tossed around, couldn't get back to sleep. I thought, I'm just going to get up. So I go and make a pot of coffee, flip on the TV. There's a documentary on about the BTK killer. I'm sitting there drinking coffee, waiting for daylight. As I'm watching it, things kind of start popping out that are familiar. And so he's on this unsolved case from the 70s. He's seeing things that are jogging his memory in this BTK documentary. And then he starts looking up details, and it's like the time that he kidnapped his victims was like mid-morning, which is the same time that she disappeared from the laundromat, and that like got him on it. And he always just made that connection in his mind. And then in April of this year, on April 15th, the Osage County Sheriff's Office got a package from an anonymous woman that has a BTK word puzzle that went to a news station in Kansas a year before he was caught in 2004. And I have a picture of it right here. And it's from some old website printout or something. And you guys can kind of look at it. And it has a couple of words that are found in this puzzle down there that kind of like, you can see that's like a weird puzzle. I don't know if you want to describe it to the folks. It's kind of a weird puzzle.
Yeah, I don't understand what this is. I don't know what I'm looking at, man. This is fucking
He sent
confusing.
a puzzle to a news station. It's kind of like a crazy man's puzzle. It's clearly not like even as complex as Zodiac's puzzles, which aren't that crazy, just more like hard to solve. But if you look at this puzzle...
why was this sent?
So if you look in it now, there's other... words in it like Cindy and Kinney and Osage and laundromat and Kahaka, which is the name of the street, Elgin,
his telephone, Anderson,
Pawhuska, Oklahoma, Cleveland, words that link him to other murders besides the ones that he admitted to. And
sure, but why was this sent?
Somebody sent it anonymously. I don't know. Just to kind of like explain that. And
what? So anonymously to explain a thing, they sent a cryptic puzzle.
But like, look how it was sent. Look, I'll show you the one that was like. So, if you look at this other version, this is what was sent. It had like the guide to these unsolved. Like, you see how it's like notated.
Yeah. So
like, this was what was sent. Was like, hey, check this out. Like, check out how these words are found in this word search. That's the evidence.
Oh yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
Do you see what I'm saying?
No,
like, the tip is that these unsolved murders names are in this word search. You see what I'm saying?
Why?
Because they're saying that he did it. They're saying that the BTK killer actually did this crime and that they should look into it.
Why wouldn't they just say it instead of a weird puzzle?
Because they want to keep. Well, the puzzle is from the killer. The puzzle
was a BTK puzzle, and somebody else later on, years later, are looking at these and finding other names in this puzzle that had been not looked at forever.
I understand. What I'm saying is, why are they just sending puzzles with like, oh yeah, I figured it out, instead of like a comprehensive, all right, so this is what this thing is, this is how this works. It's like they resent the puzzle, but they're like, I solved it. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I see what you're saying too. I definitely they just sent a solved puzzle over.
I think it's somebody that's like hinting at like, please investigate this murder with BTK in mind, because I found these keywords that relate to that case in this word search. Or this cop had this idea and found this himself and made up a fake person who sent this word search in. You know, it could be any of those things, but that's kind of the vibe. And to back it up, another piece of the thing that was sent over was this thing that BTK had that was like a list, and the X's sometimes represent murders that he did in those states, and it's like a list of things that he did that he wrote, right? And so some of the murders and stuff that he wrote actually are in Oklahoma, which is where this is, and kind of like connect him to being in the area at the time. So it's just like a new piece of evidence that some cops are working on that connects BTK to an unsolved case in Oklahoma. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's cool.
I cannot stress, we must include this on the subreddit, because this is some of the most nonsensical, goofy stuff I've ever, like, I understand where you're coming from, but this is the worst way to get your idea across I've ever seen in my entire, like, to the person who sent this in, it's nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, there's a list of words at the bottom, and it's just kind of like spelled out, but it really is poorly laid out. And the quote is kind of weird too. It says, "It's up to us to figure out everything that he gave us and put those together, connect the dots, and then get the answers that we're looking for. We're still in the process of trying to evaluate that and sending them out, trying to get some expert opinions on it to see what we can get. But it's pretty hard to get around the fact that Cindy Kinney's name is in there." So the reason
it really is. It's interesting.
The reason I included this was because it kind of, to me, almost feels like it could be like a Dave Toschi kind of like evidence pointing towards a specific solution kind of thing. I don't know. Like, it's a pretty old case. Like, maybe he's trying to pin it on the BTK killer here by like kind of taking evidence and kind of like almost like doing like word numerology to make it make sense. I don't know. Yeah. But I just thought it was interesting because it popped up when I was looking for Zodiac stuff, and it kind of hit that same little note for me. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I think it's cool. It's fascinating. I mean, with the, who knows? Maybe he fucking didn't. It's the cold case solver that he's been looking for.
I mean, this does, if it's easier for people, this is straight up on the front page of KFOR.com, which is an Oklahoma City TV station.
Yeah.
So, like, it's on the front page with an article, so that probably will give you more information. There's on not that what much, they're thinking.
There's really not that much to it besides what I said. The article's pretty short, but it's there, and you can kind of see a little bit more of what they were talking about. But it's real. It doesn't seem that concrete to me, but I don't know. He's taking it as if it is.
Yeah. Well, why don't I take us out of here with some science, boys?
Science
as
me
I
up,
said
baby.
earlier, alien stuff, UAP stuff, very fascinating. When the world of science, things seem to be going along rather nicely as well to bring us into a world where maybe this is all very possible. For a long time, we've all known of warp drives. Warp drives have been around basically since the 90s. It was originated by physicist Miguel Alcubierre. We basically, we know it from Star Wars, Star Trek. The thing that lets you go faster than light, the thing that lets you travel the stars at an insane speed. All these early theoretical designs that actual physicists tried to maybe make a warp drive with, they all relied on what's known as exotic physics, like negative energy, which is only theorized, but has never been observed in the real world. But a new study published in the journal Classical and Quantum Gravity details a concept that doesn't rely on physics breaking theories. In other words, it's a warp drive that theoretically operates within the known bounds of physics today.
That's very exciting.
Quote, this study changes the conversation about warp drives. Lead author Jared Fuchs. I love his last name. It's Fuchs, baby.
That's
I don't know what to tell you.
Like high school bummer last name. That's
it's
also
so
like
good.
low-key great. It's like low-key great.
I love
it's like big dick energy.
It is
Jared Fuchs, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fucks, bro.
Jared Fuchs is a senior scientist at the research firm Applied Physics. And he said this in a press statement, quote, by demonstrating a first-of-its-kind model, we've shown that warp drives might not be relegated to science fiction. According to the team, this new concept uses a sophisticated blend of traditional and novel gravitational techniques to create a warp bubble that can transport objects at high speeds within the known bounds of physics. This is known as a constant velocity subliminal warp drive. And as the paper describes, the technique matches previously theoretical solutions, including those that were explored by Alcubierre, the guy who created the warp drive. But crucially, this concept stays within the known realms of physics. The news comes only a few weeks after AP announced the creation of the Warp Factory, an online toolkit designed for researchers studying the physics and engineering of warp drives. And Christopher Helmrich, another senior scientist at AP, said this toolkit was a reality check for the warp drive research field, and that according to its website, the company plans to offer up to $500,000 in grants for proposed research that does not rely on exotic concepts such as negative energy or superliminal matter. So like they're like only funding things that are able to be done within what we now know as physics
science,
as we understand it now. Yeah, science. Yeah, exactly. They still say like this is the first theoretical model that can be done within physics, but the design would still require obviously a considerable amount of energy, but it demonstrates that warp effects can be achieved without exotic forms of matter. These findings pave the way for the future reductions of warp drive energy requirements. So yeah, we've got ourselves an actual weird little like potential warp drive being made. I want to see if I can find maybe how it works on a different website, but yeah, I'm curious how it actually works because that Popular Mechanics did not explain it. But yeah, thoughts, boys?
I mean, I guess I don't know enough. It's cool conceptually.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to think about warp drive all the time being real because I love Star Trek, right? But like,
yeah, exactly.
I never considered that I would ever live in the era of it, but I always used to think like, what about when AI, like real AI, comes out? Like,
I used to think I wouldn't see AI either.
Yeah. What about laser guns, like military issue, like laser rifles? Am I going to be there for that? Am I going to be there for spaceships? And the fact that they're getting this close kind of just feels like maybe, number one, like we might get there before I, die. And number two,
move on. Yeah.
Maybe we're retro engineering this stuff back from UFO stuff.
I mean, yeah. I don't want to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm not going to say that's
what's I went to space.com and they have a little bit better of a breakdown. They basically say the paper's abstract. The most simple way they can explain it is it involves combining a stable matter shell with a shift vector distribution that closely matches well-known warp drive solutions such as the Alcubierre metric. And that while it's like they're saying like don't prepare for interstellar voyages. This is just the beginning of what could potentially lead us there.
Has this been peer reviewed? I'm literally looking at
this came out 5 days
right
ago?
now.
I don't know.
Because if this is just a published thing, until it's peer review, it kind of is like, okay, cool idea.
Yeah. Let's see. Subject cited, journal reference. I don't know how to find out if it's peer reviewed or not.
Yeah, I don't see it on. I'm looking at IOP
Cornell's website.
IOPscience.iop.org has the article, and it it's been downloaded a bunch of times, but I don't necessarily see. I assume if it just came out
5 days ago, we got this article.
Yeah, so this isn't. So maybe it isn't reviewed yet. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, weird, but still, like even so, like it's fascinating that like we're there. At least people are starting to try and put together models within our own physics. So we'll see. Who fucking knows, dude?
It's exciting.
That's it for us, though.
Exciting, a spaceship.
It is. I think it's exciting as shit, dude. I think it's awesome. I'm very excited to see what's next in the world of just like space exploration.
Me too.
But yeah, that's it for us, everybody. We're out of here. We'll be back next week with a brand new minisode. We appreciate your support here at patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, Chilluminati. Welcome to Minisode 180. Hello. Minisode 180. That's where we are.
Yeah.
You went.
Yeah.
You're digging deep for that. Yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm just committed to this bit. How many times have we done this? 200 million times?
We didn't start it with episode 1, though. Oh, okay. I don't know where it started as the thing. 2? But yeah, over 100 episodes by now, I would say. over 100 episodes by now. And Jesse, you've said that people are going to leave, and we've only gained more.
That guttural male throat unch is what the people want from us on these
from smooth hand boys like us.
My disdain today is for the watcher at home. Sorry, listeners. It's all in the eyes today.
It's all in the eyes.
I used to work at a video store for 7.5 years. That's why my hands are so soft. You know how many times I ran it bit blood in, blood out. You guys want to hear my
you went looking for your article, so yeah, why don't you start?
Okay. Every once in a while, I find a story on Reddit that is just like the most fucked up shit ever. This one is from Let's Not Meet, but it like ends up in like a Chilluminati Scary Game Squad zone.
Okay,
it's an easy crossover between those two.
This is from Yeehaw Batman. Great username.
Yeehaw Batman.
Yeehaw Batman.
Yeah, it's called "Just Had the Creepiest Experience of My Life While Camping." Here we go. I discovered this sub with my friend Julia, who is with me as I'm typing this out because we just got back from a camping trip where we experienced the scariest thing either of us has ever experienced. So Julia and I are both women in our early 20s, and we were out camping in a remote area of Montana that isn't super popular, but it's still fairly popular amongst locals who camp a lot like we do, which meant it wasn't super unusual when we saw a group of 3 guys who looked to be a little older than us drive past our camp about an hour after we set up our chairs and table. We just assumed that they were searching for a good spot to camp. But then, when the car was still in our sight through the trees, we saw it turn around, and as it was driving back, we both noticed one of the guys sticking his phone out the window and seemed to be recording us. Both of us thought it was really weird, and I walked a bit closer to take a picture of their license plate as a safety measure, but when I got closer, I saw that the back plate had all the numbers covered with black paint. Julie and I both got bad vibes from this. But both of us are aware that men are creeps towards women all the time, and both of us are prepared with bear spray because Montana is grizzly bear country, and we decided it wasn't a weird enough interaction to pack our stuff and find a different spot. We just decided to put up an empty tent outside and sleep in my car instead to trick people into thinking we were sleeping in the tent if they tried to attack us. Later that night, when both of us were asleep in my car, we heard branches rustling and snapping outside by the empty tent, despite the fact that it wasn't windy. Originally, we assumed it was a bear trying to climb up to the bear hang with our food and scented hygiene products. Then we heard male voices outside, and I lifted my head up to the window and saw the same car that passed us earlier. I got off the air mattress on top of the back row of seats that we put down to make an area for us to sleep and locked the doors individually so my car wouldn't make a beeping noise. Julia and I stayed still and hoped that the men would leave. For a while, we heard them talking, but it was hard to make out what they say from inside the car. We heard more rustling and branches snapping, which made us think they were trying to steal something from the bear hang, which was weird, but neither of us wanted to actually look out the window in case one of them spotted us. Eventually, we heard the car leave, which was a huge relief, but we were too freaked out to actually leave the car until it was light outside and campers nearby would be waking up. When I got out of the tent, nothing could have prepared me for what I saw. Above our tent, the men had hung a dead deer that was obviously killed recently because it was leaking blood everywhere on top of our tent. The internal organs were ripped out, and its limbs were cut off and laid out in a circle around the tent. This is messed up on its own, but hunting permits aren't even being sold right now, which means that the deer was killed illegally to do whatever it is that these guys did. As soon as we processed what we were looking at, Julia and I freaked out and drove away without taking down our camp. Once we were in service, Julia called the police and Forest Service to report what happened while I drove home. Forest Service was nice enough to get our stuff for us, but I don't even want mine back in case there's like some weird curse on it or something. The police are looking into it to charge a fine for killing wild game during the off-season, but as far as I know, what they did to us technically isn't illegal. It's just really creepy. I haven't heard of anything like this before, but if you have, let me know. I'm very curious and very spooked. I love camping so much, but after this, I don't know if I can camp for a long time. The end.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Do they take photos of it? I mean, like, it's a good story. Absolutely creepy. But, like, they had their camera, right? They were going to take photos of surely they would have taken a photo to then show the cops, right?
There's people saying, Pixar, it didn't happen. There's people saying, I'm glad you stayed safe. There's people saying this 100% did not happen. There's a lot of different ones. I
was going to say, the thing that I was hoping for is they would have hit the triple super. In the beginning, they said super word twice. And I was hoping for a triple super. That's how I always know something's fake. If someone goes, it was super scary. I was hoping. I was really hoping for a triple super.
It was big scary. It felt good. It felt real to me. It's just creepy enough to be like plausible without making me feel like it was benign. Like it feels like there was.
You're right that it's like Scary Game Squad though. It's very horror story-y. Like why do that? Wouldn't they have noticed blood over the tent or like the drip overnight? or them putting stuff up there. There's a lot of like structural elements.
Well, here's a Yeehaw Batman. Here's an update from OP. On an additional note, as many people have pointed out in the comments, is that if you see something sketchy while camping, get the fuck out. I definitely wasn't as cautious as I should have been, especially because I'm a young woman, and sadly, camping for us has the added risk of men like this. I genuinely don't know what they even wanted to do because the police told us there was nothing that that indicated that they tried to unzip the tent, since we had a knot tied around the zippers from inside and they were still intact and there was no outside damage. It's almost more scary that they didn't try to break in, since it makes their intentions less clear and their actions even more bizarre somehow.
I mean, it's weird, but yeah, I don't think that changed much.
Like, I mean, again, still great, scary story. It doesn't have the ring of truth, though, just on a technical level.
You think it's too complicated?
Like, what they did was hoist a deer carcass above the tent, so it dripped blood on the tent all night, which they would have noticed that. The stench alone of the intestines.
Well, they were in.
Yeah, there's like a vibe
tent.
that's
they
like,
were in, they were in a truck next to the tent.
But also women, women saying I should have been more careful, yet at the beginning saying, as women, we know men are creeps. Like, I, as Jesse Cox, if I saw a bunch of dudes driving by with a license plate that was black and they were taking photos of me, I would have left right then.
I would have called the ranger.
Yeah. I would have just left.
I would have walked over and been like, you got a better angle? Hang on, let me help.
Yeah, part of me almost thinks this is going to be like our video game comes out this fall.
Yeah. Little ARG viral marketing campaign.
It's a good story, though. Like, it's a solid story. We've talked about this on this show. I got creeped out by forest people. So, it can happen to anyone. I slept in a car, too, once.
Princess J. Buttercup says, as a young female who loves to backpack and camp, this would be a total nightmare. However, A, people can be creeps, but that's an awful lot of effort to scare you without actually doing anything to you or your car. B, there's no way they wouldn't realize you weren't in the tent, and once realizing this, why wouldn't they bother to check your car? C, you were cognizant enough to make a decoy with your tent and sleep in the car, but you weren't triggered enough to leave? That makes zero sense. D, if this happened in the last decade, any 20-something female would have their phone at the ready. You took in all the details of the blood and the guts, but no pictures, with two of you there, not buying it. Did the Forest Service police talk about the bloody tent at all? This would be shocking for them to see, too, and not something they would shrug off. This deer carcass was fresh. Somebody would have heard gunshots. And either they came prepared with this fresh deer carcass already dressed and guts out, or they dressed the deer at your site. Either way, it takes time and effort and noise and lots of blood. Again, no way they thought you slept through this, even if all they did was hang a deer carcass about your tent. And then the last one is, you tied the inside of your tent zippers from the outside for your decoy tent? Please edit your story.
Internet.
Get him, internet. Do it right now.
She said, please edit your story to make it more believable and repost in no sleep. This doesn't belong.
That's great. That's good.
Yeah, I will say another thing that I thought was interesting is in the story, she's like, it's a place where people don't go, but they do go. And we wanted to wait till there was daylight because we wanted other campers to, we wanted if they could see us. So they were clearly in sight range of other campers. And if they were in voice range, wouldn't they just loudly scream like, these guys they're gonna kill us? Surely no one's sleeping through that. I don't know. It's a lot of I don't know that I buy this.
Fair.
It's a nice story.
Yeah, great story. It's a good story. It's creepy. Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to bring reality to the show now, if you don't mind, boys.
Dude, look at Mathis with the fucking heel turn on the believing stuff that's slightly.
I'm about to bring up some UFOs. So.
Reality.
Yeah, reality. Right. So, we all, as time has gone on, the AARO under James Kirkpatrick has been very, very, very interesting to see kind of unfold. One of the two of the more recent things that have happened is prior to the AARO, or right as the AARO was getting set up, a few people claimed that there was like a secret, not a secret meeting, but like a behind doors, like skiff style meeting of a bunch of important people in the government with Kirkpatrick being present, talking about what is actually going on. And Kirkpatrick publicly on social media and whatnot said, that's not true. I was never there. There's no such thing of one of those meetings happening. In response to that, a few days later, one of the people that was at the meeting leaked a photo that shows Kirkpatrick sitting at the table with everybody that was supposed to be there talking to somebody. So that happened, and that kind of like threw a lot under, like, you know, for Kirkpatrick, it's just a lot of weird things that are just, he's lying about things, and I don't understand the purpose other than the fact that he's currently working for the Department of Energy. So it's like, you know, the conspiracy can follow, but that's not what we're here for. We mentioned that because not only us, but both sides of the aisle in Congress are really just like pissed about how AARO went down under Kirkpatrick. Like, they got nothing. Like, Kirkpatrick didn't investigate like the Nimitz case or anything that was beyond Title 50, as we've talked about in the past, and it just didn't do what it was supposed to do. So recently, this article came out a few days ago, within the Senate on May 22nd, 2024, the Senate Intelligence Committee had passed an FY25 Intelligence Authorization Act. This act includes increased oversight over the AARO, among many other things that it authorizes, but it's particularly the things that it does with the AARO and the AARO's and the Air Force's immediate response after it goes into effect. The press release for this notes that the act authorizes funding for the Intelligence Committee to focus on key areas. One of those provisions, quote, requires a Government Accountability Office, a GAO, review of all domain anomaly research office regarding unidentified anomalous phenomena reporting to the federal agency coordination. So now they're setting up an office that's for the Senate and Congress to get this information instead of it just going from the AARO to the Pentagon and having like no oversight in between, because that's what it was doing before. There was no Senate or congressional oversight. There are also a few other points that are interesting to note. Quote, it reforms management of controlled access programs to improve congressional oversight because there are concerns about these controlled access programs that these whistleblowers are coming forth talking about, like Grush. Maintains strong congressional oversight of and enhances protection for IC whistleblowers, so even more protection for people coming forward. It requires the IC to establish an IC-wide policy authorizing a program for contractor-based sensitive compartmented information facilities to improve public-private cooperation on technology innovation. This right here is directly Lockheed, Raytheon, like the people, the contractor-based shit that we keep hearing is going on. And there's an interesting history of oversight through all this, but there's two more pieces I wanted to bring up. I have them here. These two I find kind of really interesting. The article notes in part, once the GAO launched its inquiry, what ended up happening was the Air Force officials suddenly found documents, not in the National Archives, but in their files. Like the minute the GAO was showed up, all of a sudden they have these things. The issue is they issued a short report last September claiming that the debris from Roswell was part of Project Mogul. A GAO investigator said they didn't believe UFOs were involved with Roswell, but, quote, we do believe that something did happen at Roswell, something big. We don't know if it was a plane that crashed with a nuclear device on it or if it was some other experimental situation. But everything we've seen so far points to an attempt on the part of the Air Force to lead anybody that looks in on this down another track, end quote. So that's from their investigations, which is crazy. And then the Washington Post has an article going into this as well. And this little part here goes, while our sources say the Air Force has been less than forthcoming, the GAO may not make the case in its upcoming report, especially since it might imply that the GAO believes a UFO landed at Roswell. Quote, we will tend to err on the side of not fueling UFO theories, end quote, one GAO official explained.
Why would they
the other part that happened during this is Greenwald, the guy who's in charge of the blackvault.com. He's a big FOIA guy. We talked about him last week, how he accidentally got documents that he wasn't supposed to get, proving Elizondo was in charge of ATIP and all that shit. We talked about that a few weeks ago, rather, on the Minisode.
Right.
Another thing happened after this went through, and he suddenly got a bunch of documents that he asked for that he initially got a response of years ago saying that they were destroyed. And he just got them all about a Japanese airliner UFO encounter over international waters. And he not only got them all, he immediately released them. He got them like yesterday, the day before. And he shows like they got an email saying they were told they were destroyed. They don't exist. They don't exist anymore. And now suddenly they're here and suddenly they have them. And Greenwald is like really starting, because like he was on the side for a long time. And I had I didn't say I have beef with him, but like he was very much on the side of the government and FOIA requests. And ever since the past couple weeks where like they accidentally confirmed things that they were telling him didn't exist, and now he's been pressing really fucking hard, and it's really interesting to watch. But this has all just happened over the past 3 days, and it's all kind of like quietly reported. But it's fucking weird, man.
Yeah,
like
it's not that sexy, but it actually is kind of like more the kind of stuff that we're talking about. Like
it's the bureaucratic compartmentalization that keeps it all crazy. And the fact that there's a quote saying the Air Force literally leads anybody down another track that tries to look into this shit. If they do that for that, of course they do it for other things.
Yeah.
So I leave that on your earth. If you have final thoughts on that, boys, but that's what I bring to you today. A little bit of an update on that. There's actually some oversight happening. They bring up contractors. They bring up Roswell. They bring up Kirkpatrick just lying. Like, it's just crazy.
This is kind of like more like what I thought it was going to look like when this went down. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I don't know what it means for AARO moving into with its new person in charge instead of Kirkpatrick. I don't know how much, but at least now there's a stopgap between the AARO and the Pentagon, and it's not just them overwatching themselves and saying there's nothing happening here.
That's true.
Like, the GAO was the minute it was like arrived, they're like, oh, by the way, these Air Force documents, they actually do exist. Here you go. Like, here's a bunch of them, and other things that they gave the Congress and stuff. It's just like ridiculous. It feels like so silly and obvious that it's like not real, but it is.
It's mundane. It's like it's the type of stuff that you would see with any government,
bureaucratic nonsense,
dumb nonsense. Yeah,
I know. What about you, Jesse? Got final thoughts on it?
I mean, I hope it becomes something for you, bud.
Me too. Well,
I hope you get something out of it.
It becomes something for the Earth. All right.
Yeah, I mean, like right now, it's still a non-thing. Like, it's bureaucratic nonsense, which is nothing new.
That's true.
Like, I hope it turns into something for you. I would love to get something cool from this, but it sounds like it's going to be we'll have another talk and another couple of months about how nothing happened, but now something may happen. But let's be like, okay, here we go again.
Is the thing that I'm most like, come on, is just like suddenly supposed destroyed documents are suddenly in existence. It's like, oh, okay, great. So like, what are you actually like giving us? You know,
that's
nothing.
What I'm saying.
Really,
like
nothing.
What are we getting out of this? Really?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I bring, Jesse.
I like it.
I like it too. I think it's valuable. I hope it leads to like the slow walk of whatever, like disclosure. Even if disclosure isn't aliens, disclosure is we don't know what these things are. They're just out there in our airspace. We know this for a fact.
They're never going to admit
it feels
that.
more like honesty
I
to
know.
me. Let's just say.
It feels what?
It feels more like honesty to me. It's like it's not sensational.
It's honesty by accident. Because like they weren't supposed to send Greenwald those emails initially. They literally like acknowledged that. Right. And then these were like destroyed. It's not even like they're doing it on purpose. They just fucked up themselves into the truth.
Right. God damn it. That's so fucking
right.
dumb.
Like the truth only came out because somebody fucked up somewhere and sent things they weren't supposed to.
Right.
Like, so this is like, all right, cool. Anyway, maybe there's somebody on the inside who's like young.
I was going to
say,
was it a mistake?
Yeah, that's what I wonder. It's like, I wonder if the person who sent it. Yeah. All right, Jesse, tie us up. What'd you bring for us today?
I'm about to tie you up. In the world of Coast to Coast AM, this is from Coast to Coast. It's about the topic of longevity escape velocity. And this is a theory that soon we may reach the point
what does that mean?
Where aging is optional.
Yes.
Oh,
I want everyone to know, just take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt. I swear to you.
I swear.
I don't believe any of this, but like, here we go.
I'm gonna put something out there. Hang on. Because I just saw a video about ways that like science is looking into being able to stop whatever it is in the cells that causes it to age and like, you know, worsen over time. And they can do it. They can do it. The issue is it doesn't come scot-free. The issue is it also makes cancer immortal. And like you will just get cancer much faster if you start using it because it makes cancer
you'll be Deadpool?
Age. You like except where you die. You're dead space pool. Like you're not Deadpool.
Great. So
you're
cool.
just a dead pool of gooey decomposing mass. Anyway, continue.
So eternal youth seekers and investors alike are getting like very excited about the concept of longevity escape velocity, which is basically borrowing its name from escape velocity. And it's basically objects can, and, you know, escape velocity is like, you know, objects can, and at a certain speed, defy gravity's pull. And so this is saying that we can defy the entropy within ourselves. And so scientists and their funders, which again, let me just be clear, that's where I'm going with this angle.
Yep.
Scientists and their funders believe that maybe even by 2030, we can start seeing signs of anti-aging tech. And as we get better at rejuvenating ourselves, we may improve the quality of our lives so exponentially that people will increasingly see their life expectancy increase more and more and more and more and more, almost approaching a near mortal state, or so the theory goes. It's kind of like how we all imagine aliens or advanced societies were like, I have lived for 1,000 years. We'll all be elves at that point.
Right.
Even people you consider as like very real scientists feel this could be a thing. George Church, a geneticist at Harvard, says that, you know, this is something we could reach in our lifetime. And there's a lot of people at the Longevity Vision Fund, which are saying the exact same thing. But I just want to stress, again, they're all saying we can do this if we had the money or we had the right funding, which is true. I mean, across the board, money can buy anything, and it can solve a lot of problems. A lot of the big diseases and issues that we have, people have thrown a lot of money at it, and we're now more than ever, we are solving a lot of medical issues. Yeah. It's insane because there's a lot of people who are like, well, I don't want to get treated because that's the government trying to kill me or whatever, which is bonkers. But, right. You know, sure, we'll get polio again. That's cool. Anyway, love polio. The thing that I think is interesting, though, is that it definitely taps into this sort of billionaire thing where they're basically saying, hey, old billionaires, give us your money, please. And first off, honestly, fuck them. I think let those old bastards give us all the money they have to make these things happen. They'll have died and we'll reap the rewards. So I'm here for it. But also, I think that it's one of those things where it really plays on the fear of death. And when you talk to people who are either in the circles with really rich people or are really rich people or have family members who are really rich, everything they talk about is related to living longer. They are obsessed with the concept of either one, making sure that their name stays present forever.
Yep.
Or two, trying to live as long as they can. This is one of those things that even long ago when they were like, okay, we can't live forever, but maybe one day we can. So I want you to freeze my body. Spoiler. There's been articles lately that all those people that froze themselves are liquid goop now.
That is so gross.
Yeah. So, you know, but they stress, apparently this is the thing. They stress so much about how they have infinite wealth. They make, you know, they have all this power and privilege, but they just won't live forever and they won't get to experience that forever. And it messes with them. And so, you know, their whole existence as like the ultra wealthy is how do I live longer? How do I live longer to make more money? How to live longer to spend all that money? How to live longer to like enjoy the pleasures of the world? And they're obsessed with that stuff. And I feel like this is a lot of playing into that obsession. Absolutely. That the scientists are like, sure, yeah, no, we can do that if you give us money, which again, awesome, fine, take that money. I don't give a shit. But it definitely plays on that. And I think it's super weird that that's the immediate thing I get, because I just have seen so many articles and stories about like, yeah, they bought their 12th boat and they really just don't have anything left to do except like try to live longer with their 12 boats. And it definitely puts a barrier between like everyone else just trying to get by and people who are like, how can I live like a god on my floating space station?
Pierce in Prometheus, yeah.
Yeah. It's literally what it is.
That's literally
same thing with when you look at people like Elon Musk, his whole thing is like, I want to make a space world and I want to like get a private island. And Zuckerberg is like, I have a compound on an island so I can survive the end of the world. Like, this is all they care about. And so it's fascinating to me that that's the target. These scientists are like, yeah, no, sure. We can use AI. We can use all this stuff. Just give us the money, please.
Fancy words, pay me.
Let me stress, like, yeah, okay. Because we have, as a collective society, benefited from all of the scientific things that are going. Like, go back 2 generations. They had, like, your grandparents had it rough, y'all. They had it rough.
Shoot.
Yeah. You go back 4 generations, even crazier. So the idea that again, this is off topic, but the idea that there's some people who are like, I say we return to struggling. Like, y'all,
you don't
get over yourselves. Shut up.
Like, why?
You're stupid.
Like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't understand that. Why do you want, like, after having had a hardship, why do you want everyone else to have had that hardship? That's insane.
Schadenfreude, baby.
That's
I mean,
like
it's
the
the same
logic
thing with
that you're
paying
not getting your
student
student.
loans
Yeah,
or
it's
dealing
exactly
with-
what you're. Yeah.
Yeah,
Perpetuating a generational trauma.
if anything, you should be like, I never want anyone else to experience this. It sucks. Because you understand. But I've come to believe that there is a significant portion of society, I'd say 50% of the world, just does not have the capacity for empathy.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is. I don't know how that happens. I don't know where you get that from. I don't know if it's nature versus nurture. But there's definitely like a vibe where I need to get mine and I don't care about anybody else. And it isn't until, man, I'm down. I was beat so bad that now I do care. It's like, well, okay, sure, dude.
Yeah,
so,
great.
I don't know,
came to that
man.
realization of compassion and empathy by having it to have done to you first.
But in theory,
boo-boo, dude.
we'll see something soon. The tests they're running right now are on mice and trying to get mice to live an extra year of healthy life instead of just like an extra year, which apparently they can make mice live a long time, but they become sort of like that monkey paw version of long life where you're like, yeah, the creeps keep it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Jesse. What's happening first? Longest, like infinite immortality or alien disclosure?
Ooh.
I would think
I'm putting money
that
down on
we
aliens.
would cracking genetic code and living longer would make aliens more interested. I'm thinking it's like a first contact situation. Like we either have to do warp travel, something big. We got to do something
from
cool
Cochrane?
where the
We come
aliens are
over-
like, damn.
We overcome the restrictions of 3D existence and space-time by stopping the aging process, therefore separating ourselves from time and space altogether.
Yeah.
And we're ready for
my
fourth
God.
dimensional traversal.
I think that they would
Come
show up
get
and be
me,
like,
dude. You think the aliens
welcome
heard me say
to
that?
the Federation.
Yeah, like I figured it out. Come get me.
Yeah. I'm here for that.
Yeah. Well, last question. We figure out immortality. You taking it?
It depends.
Healthy
I have a
immortality.
feeling that if we do crack immortality, it's still just going to be for the super rich, and everyone else is going to be like a grunt. And I would rather go out in a blaze of glory taking one of those assholes with me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, fair
I want to
enough.
Elysium that shit. Like, if I had a choice, I would be like,
$1 trillion on
no, you guys don't
immortality.
deserve this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill you and me at the same time.
Yeah,
That's
no,
so
I
fucking funny.
although
That's
in
such a funny
theory,
thing.
I could be one of those super, like, what if I became one of those wealthy guys? Then I
Bro.
would drape myself like an old Egyptian king,
If
like
Compound
a
V
pharaoh
was
of
real,
old,
would you
like I was the
become-
dude in Stargate, and
You'd
I'd have
become Homelander?
goons. Oh yeah.
You'd be Homelander?
No, I'd be kind of like Raw from Stargate, and I'd have like a mask.
I haven't
and
seen
I'd like
Stargate.
touch kids' heads and shake them till their
kids'
brains
heads?
melted. Oh
Wow,
yeah, it'd be
that's-
great. I'd be like, you defy me. Yeah, oh yeah. I'd be a villain, obviously. And I'd expect one of you two to be like, I gotta take him out Elysium style, which is fine. I
We got
deserve that.
Elysium Jesse, guys.
At least you understand right now that you've said those words. So if and when it happens, you will not be surprised. That means you'll be
Oh.
prepared.
And if anything, I'd take off my mask and be like, finally, someone has come to end it. Right? Because I've lived for like 1,000 years. And I'll be like,
Dude,
take me
it's
if
the
you
anime
can.
ending. Yeah.
Right.
1,000
Yeah. We'd
years.
fight to the death. And I'd be like, if you kill me, you deserve to kill me. It'd be one of those
It's a
situations.
win-win, really, for you. Because if you die, you want it. And if you don't,
Yeah.
well, I get to keep the most powerful person in the world.
And if we have some sort of
fucking
apocalypse
funny.
situation, I could do like, my New Vegas vibe where I'm like, welcome to the greatest broth of all. Cox's live show. It gets freaky over here. Oh
my
I have like a
reality.
cane and
Why
like
is
one
this so
red eye
evocative?
for some reason.
Why do you have
It is,
this
it's
so
very
realized in your
evocative.
brain? How often do you think about this?
Often. I'm ready for any end of the world situation.
I was gonna say, in reality,
And one,
pretty
I'm a
much,
pirate. I've thought about that. I'd be a
Wow.
pirate in one of them.
Like an ocean one?
we're going to be way closer to
Yeah.
Mad Max, though. So, like, have you thought about what kind of
Oh,
Mad
if I
Max?
was in Mad Max, I'd be
Like Dementus? Would you be Dementus?
no, I'd be more like that one dude, People Eater, whatever his name is, who has the fake
Oh, the
nose, like the
nose?
nipple
Yeah.
the nipple clamps. Yeah, I'd be like that guy.
People eater. All right.
Yeah, it's his name.
All
That's
right.
his name, dude.
All right.
I saw
yeah.
Fury Road on a plane. I've seen that movie.
Okay.
That's the only time I've seen it as well. Is just on the plane. The absolute best way to experience Fury Road.
It's
On
like
the plane.
I have
it's like
thought about
he-
this. That's not
it's
even a
like
joke.
Your
I'm
whole
ready.
life, you were like, "What will make Alex furious? Like,
Before
how
I even knew you.
how will I make him furious in viewing the movie? What way should I watch it to make it as bad as possible?"
Is it better or worse that they were like through skull candy headphones?
I mean, actually, I like because I think that's the logo of the steering wheel in that movie. I'm pretty sure.
What? You're right. It's a skull.
Yeah, so I feel like that's fine.
The skull candy logo.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
All right.
Thank you. For as long as we do this, I will forever torture you with how I've seen movies in the past.
All right.
Aesthetic is so strong he doesn't even really know what the aesthetic is. And yet he's so on brand of himself every time.
That's just how I've lived my life.
All right.
I'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Was that a question? You're like, I'll see you next week.
Are you asking me if I'm leaving Alex
the show?
might be like, yeah, he might not come back. He might be too offended. At least I'll get to see Fire in the Sky soon with you guys. So that'll be a lot of fun.
I'm here for that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for supporting us here. Patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod. We love you. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.